Welcome to the Scheme Leaver Essentials for Employers presentation. My name is Richard Quinn and I'm part of the engagement team at Local Pensions Partnership Administration, and I will be guiding you through today's session. The purpose of this presentation is to provide you with an understanding of the information required in dealing with the scheme leaver. First, let's look at the key points that will be covered in today's session. I will cover what is a leaver, the information required, and cover the possible reasons why a leaver form is required or may not be required. I will provide you with a recap of the final salary scheme and care scheme, outlining the definitions for pensionable pay under each scheme, how they are calculated, and what information is required when notifying LPPA of a leaver. I will also talk you through the key differences between the final salary and care scheme, just to make you aware. And finally, I will provide a demonstration of the leaver form, which is a development of an existing tool, taking on board feedback received from employers surrounding the leaver process. The use of this tool was designed to make it easier for you to provide us with information and removes the need for you to be too mindful of too much theory and puts the emphasis on putting the right numbers in the right box. It also takes out the need for manual calculation, which hopefully makes your life a whole lot easier. What is a leaver? In this section, I'm going to give you an overview of what is a leaver, why we require a leaver form, the information required, and cover the possible reasons why a leaver form may or may not be required. When a member of the scheme leaves, we require a leaver form to be submitted by you as an employer to notify us the member is leaving the scheme, but also to provide us with the key information that we as the scheme administrator will require to be able to process and calculate the member's benefits accrued in the scheme, up to and including the last day of service. The leaver form allows you to notify LPPA of the last day of service, so we know when we are calculating the benefits up to, and this will also assist us in establishing what benefits the member may be entitled to. The reason for leaving. This also enables us to establish the member's benefit entitlement, whether they're able to receive payment of their benefit entitlement or a deferred pension. The pay information. This provides us with confirmation of the final pay information for calculating any final salary benefits if the member started pre-1st of April 2014. It also notifies us of the care pay up to the date of leaving, and if there are any payments owing to and to be paid to the member after the date of leaving. This is so that we can include these amounts, if pensionable, in the calculation of the member's benefits. On the slide on the screen, you will see the most common reasons why a member may be leaving the scheme. It is important that when advising a member leaves the scheme, that the correct reason for leaving is listed on the leaver form. This ensures that the member receives the correct level of benefits when a leaver form is processed, and we understand how to action and process the member's pension benefits accordingly. So it helps us determine whether this member is entitled to payment of their pension benefits. This, of course, is dependent on a number of factors, such as the age of the member, the reason for leaving, and if they have met the vesting period in the scheme. So if an employee leaves pensionable employment, this is where a member leaves pensionable employment and has not yet attained the age to access their pension benefits. If they have met the vesting period, they are entitled to a deferred pension benefit. This is where we would calculate the benefits up to and including the date of leaving. They are then frozen until such point the member can access them. This is usually from age 55 onwards. Employee opts out of the scheme. This is important. Where a member opts out of the scheme, we need to record this on our records for reporting purposes, so we can keep track of members who have opted out. So it is key to make sure that the correct reason is selected. Employees' fixed term contract ceases. So if their contract is ceased, we would need a leaver form, and again, depending on the member's age and the reason, would help us determine if they're entitled to payment of pension benefits or a deferred benefit. Employee reaches age 75. A member is allowed to stay into the scheme past their normal pension age up until age 75. On attaining age 75, the pension benefits must be brought into payment. Employee takes flexible retirement. So depending on the options they take, that's going to let us know that this person is taking flexible retirement, so potentially receiving payment of some, all, or none of their pension benefits, and that they are going to be continuing in another employment role as part of flexible retirement. So this could be they're either reducing their hours or their grade. So this would help us to understand what action we need to take and if another pension record would need to be set up at that point. TUPE transfer. If the member is transferring to a new employer that isn't part of the LGPS, then this would mean their membership in the LGPS has come to an end. At this point, we would need to calculate the pension benefits to reflect that they're no longer in the scheme. Member dies in service. The information provided on the leaver form enables us to calculate any potential death benefits payable to any surviving spouse, partner, or dependent children. In this instance, assumed pensionable pay needs to be provided, as this forms the calculation of any lump sum death grant and survivors' benefits. There are certain scenarios where a leaver form would not be required, and if the information is recorded accurately on the monthly submission file or end of year file, then LPPA can update the members' records to reflect any changes to their pensionable employment. If the employee leaves a current role and undertakes another role with the same employer and is continuing in the scheme, this can be advised to us on the monthly submission file by filling in the appropriate columns with the key information. Our data management team will then be able to amend and update the member's pension record to reflect these changes. This would mean a leaver form is not required for this instance. TUPE transfer to a new employer who is a member of the LGPS. Again, this can just be notified on the monthly data file or end of year submission, inputting a reason for leaving as TUPE. In addition, it is recommended to provide our data management team with a list of the affected staff so they can make a note on file to reflect these changes. A change in pay reference or if an employee goes on secondment are other reasons where we wouldn't require a leaver form. These amendments can be notified to LPPA again via the submission file, and again you would just need to up the members' details on the relevant columns, and we can use this to update the member's record to reflect these changes. In this section of the presentation, I will cover what is final salary and what is care pay, and also cover what the key differences are between the two. For members who join the pension scheme prior to the 1st of April 2014, they will have a final salary component of their pension, and therefore we require confirmation of the final salary information as defined by the LGPS 2008 regulations, which I will cover further in the later slides. The final salary scheme works by considering the member's service in calendar length, and this is prorated down for anyone working part-time, and either has an accrual rate applied of 1/80th for the service prior to the 1st of April 2008 and a 1/60th for service accrued between the 1st of April 2008 and the 31st of March 2014. Finally, we will look at the final salary for the 365 days up to the date of leaving. This is then prorated to the full-time equivalent for part-time members. This then determines the value of the member's pension pot relating to pre-1st of April 2014 service. It is important to note that the benefits payable under these two periods, although calculated using a similar formula, albeit different accrual rates, have different benefit entitlements. Service accrued at a 1/80th prior to the 1st of April 2008, there is an automatic lump sum attached to the benefits, which is calculated at a 3/80ths. However, any service accrued after the 1st of April 2008, there is no automatic lump sum attached to the benefits, and the member would need to elect to convert some of their pension to provide a lump sum. This is done on a ratio of 12:1. So for every £1 converted provides £12 of lump sum. The definition of final pay under the 2008 regulations is the normal basic pay, including salary, wages and fees, plus any allowances, bonus, contractual overtime, and any other pensionable payments made to the employee for their own use in respect of their employment. It also includes the monetary value of any benefit specified in their contract of employment as a pensionable emolument. For example, meals on duty for catering staff. It does not include payments for non-contractual overtime, any travelling, subsistence or other allowance paid in respect of expenses incurred in relation to the employment, any payment in respect of loss of holidays, any payment in lieu of notice to terminate their contract of employment, payment made as an inducement not to terminate employment before the payment is made, the amount of any supplement paid by the Environment Agency in recognition of the difference in contribution rates between members of the Principal Civil Service Pension Scheme and the LGPS scheme, any award of compensation, excluding any sum representing arrears of pay for the purposes of achieving equal pay in relation to other employees. So how do we calculate final pay? What we're going to do now is just look at the example on the screen. So if we use Mrs. Smith, Mrs. Smith is leaving employment on the 14th of July 2021. Therefore, the final pay period covering the last 365 days would be the 15th of July 2020 to the 14th of July 2021. If there is anyone that struggles in working out the final pay period, when I used to process, I used to use the following trick. So you would just take the date of leaving, so that's the 14th of July, add on a day to take that up to the 15th of July, and then you would just minus one off the year. So that would be 2020. And that would give you a final pay period of the 15th of July 2020 to the 14th of July 2021. There's key information to note here. Mrs. Smith had a change of hours on the 1st of January 2021 and had a pay increase in April 2021. This is important because when you're submitting the information on the pensionable pay calculator, you will need to provide a separate line for any contractual change during the final pay period. So this is covering any changes in basic pay, hours, and term time weeks. As you'll see, Mrs. Smith's salary was the following for each period. So from the 1st of April 21 to the 14th of July 2021, she was receiving £1,350 monthly basic pay and was working full-time. From the 1st of January 2021 to the 31st of March 2021, Mrs. Smith was receiving £1,275 monthly basic pay and again was working full-time. From the 15th of July 2020 to the 31st of December 2020, Mrs. Smith was working £1,000 monthly basic pay and was also working part-time, working 32.50 hours. These dates and figures will be the information we need on the form to confirm the 365-day final pay period. The LGPS changed to a career average revalued earnings scheme, otherwise referred to as a care scheme, on the 1st of April 2014. The benefits are run on an account basis, so for each year a member accrues an annual pension that is held in their account and revalued in line with inflation based on the Consumer Price Index. The formula for calculating a member's annual care pension is dependent on whether they are in the main scheme or 50/50 scheme. The main scheme has an accrual rate of a 1/49th and the 50/50 scheme has an accrual rate of a 198, effectively equating to half of the main scheme. So the main scheme calculation is their pensionable pay divided by a 49th equals their accrued pension. If they were in the 50/50 scheme, you would replace the accrual rate with a 98 and just divide the pensionable pay by 98, and this will give you the accrued pension for that input period. As you'll see from the example, the member is treated as being in the main care scheme, so an accrual rate of a 49, and this member has a gross pay of 25,000. Therefore, if we divide 25,000 by 49, this will give a pension of £510.20 for that input period, which runs from the 1st of April to the 31st of March the following year. The pension is then revalued based on CPI to increase the benefits in line with inflation and keeps its value. When establishing care pay, you will need to look at the member's pensionable pay under the Care Scheme Regulation 20. The definition of pensionable pay is outlined as all the salary, wages, fees, and other payments paid to the employee and any benefits specified in the employee's contract of employment as being a pensionable emolument. When we refer back to the key differences, it's important to remember non-contractual overtime is now considered pensionable under the care scheme. So the member will have pension contributions deducted, and this will be included in the care pay that is reported on the submission file. But an employee's pensionable pay does not include any sum which has not had income tax liability determined on it, any travelling, subsistence, or other allowance paid in respect of expenses incurred in relation to the employment, any payment in consideration of loss of holidays, any payment in lieu of notice to terminate a contract of employment, any payment as an inducement not to terminate employment before the payment is made, any amount treated as the money value to the employee of the provision of a motor vehicle or any amount paid in lieu of such provision, any payment in consideration of loss of future pensionable payment or benefits, any award of compensation. This is excluding any sum representing a raise of pay for the purpose of achieving equal pay in relation to other employees, any payment made by the scheme employer to a member on reserve forces service leave, a returning officer or acting returning officer fees other than fees paid in respect of local government elections, elections for the National Assembly of Wales, and parliamentary elections or European parliamentary elections. What I would like to do now is talk through the key differences between the final salary and care schemes, as this is important to be aware of, especially when providing the information requested on the leaver form that I will be demonstrating later in this presentation. The definition of pensionable pay and therefore what is included as the pensionable pay under each scheme when providing information and understanding what payments should be included in pensionable pay. Final pay under the 2008 regulations definition includes all contractual payments made to the member, including any contractual extra payments they may receive. When calculating final pay, this does not include casual overtime. However, under the care scheme, casual or non-contractual overtime is deemed pensionable and the member will subsequently pay pension contributions. Under the final pay scheme, this has protection built in to ensure that the member's final pay is based on the highest final pay in case of possible reductions. So for any leaver, we automatically look at the best of the last 3 years to establish if a previous year provides a higher final pay. So when completing the leaver form, you need to ensure that you let us know if a previous year produces a higher final pay, as this is the final pay figure which would be used in calculating the pension benefits. When it comes to completing the leaver form, asking yourself the question, did the member join the scheme after the 1st of April 2014 will help determine the information that we would require on the leaver form. For any members who started employment with yourselves and subsequently joined the scheme after the 1st of April 2014 will potentially not hold any final salary benefits, and therefore we would only require minimum information, such as the employee details, payments due after leaving, and any extras. It is important to note that on the leaver form, if you select this started after the 1st of April 14, you're not necessarily required to provide final pay information, but we may come back to you to query this if for some reason we have information on our records that the member does have final salary benefits linked to their current employment. This could be as a result of a transfer or combining previous LGPS benefits. If they didn't join the scheme after the 1st of April 14, then you would be providing the employee details, payments due after leaving if applicable, final salary information, and any extras. In both instances, you would need to send the leaver form to LPPA to enable us to process the benefits. I just want to touch on the McLeod judgment just for your reference. So any member who has both final salary and care who is covered by the age discrimination legal challenge, as long as the employer has provided full details of change of hours since 2014, LPPA will automatically carry out the McLeod check for members. So there isn't really much more you would need to do. Any affected member will receive the best of either the care or final salary benefits for the period the 1st of April 2014 to the 31st of March 2022. We expect small numbers of members to benefit in the short term. However, as the final salary benefits comparison remains linked to the final salary, members who have significant promotions later in their career will be most likely beneficiaries. What I would like to do now is provide you with a demonstration of how to complete the Pensionable Pay Calculator. As advised, the Pensionable Pay Calculator is a redevelopment of an existing tool, taking on board employers' feedback surrounding the leaver process. This will hopefully help you provide the leaver information with less manual calculation and make inputting the information on the form a lot more easier. I've provided a link on the slide on the screen of where to access the Pensionable Pay Calculator for reference. To access the Pensionable Pay Calculator, you will need to log into the Employee Secure area by going to www.lppapensions.co.uk website. Once you arrive on the home screen, you would just need to select on the light blue Employer Login button located at the top of the screen. You will then be asked to select the scheme your employer falls under, so that's Cumbria County Pension Fund or Lancashire County Pension Fund, and click on the Go button. You will then be prompted with the login screen, so you just need to enter your username and password. The Pensionable Pay Calculator can be accessed by clicking on the Submitting Information to LPPA option in the side menu on the left of the screen. You can then click on Access Forms to Download, available at the top of the screen. Or alternatively, you can scroll down to the bottom of the page and click on the link for Forms to Download. Either link will take you to the relevant page. This will then give you a list of all the forms available for you to access and download. If you scroll down to the Calculators section at the bottom of the screen, you will see there is the link for leaver form, including Pensionable Pay Calculator, and just below it, the leaver form, including Pensionable Pay Calculator user guide. If you click on the leaver form, including Pensionable Pay Calculator, this will then download the form for you to access. You'll see the Downloads tab appear in the top of the screen, and once it's finished downloading, you can just click Open File. Once the Excel spreadsheet opens, you just need to click on the Enable Editing button along the taskbar. And click Read Only on the pop-up menu that appears on the screen. To enable you to enter the relevant information, again, you may be required to click on the Enable Content button along the taskbar. And if you see the pop-up, do you want to make this file a trusted document? Just click Yes. You will now be presented with 4 tabs which you may need to complete. On each tab, the cells are highlighted in red, and these are the ones that require you to either select the appropriate option from the drop-down menu or enter the relevant information. So you'll have the Employee Details tab. This is where you enter the employee details and the termination details. You will have the calculation sheet, which is where you confirm the final pay information. The Extras tab, this is where you would submit any additional extras. And also the Leaver Form tab, which is where you would put your contact details. So all the fields that are highlighted in red are what you are required to input. So which LGPS fund is the membership of? If you select the drop-down menu, you can either choose Lancashire County Pension Fund or Cumbria County LGPS. So for this one, we're going to select Lancashire County Pension Fund. You will then need to input the member's details. So the surname, so we'll just put Smith, the forename, John, the employee's personal email address if known. So for example, john.smith@hotmail.com. You will need to enter the member's date of birth. So if we enter in 18th of the 10th, 1979, the member's national insurance number, the pay reference for the post that is terminating, and then you'll be prompted with a question, does the employee have more than one pensionable employment? So this is a drop-down menu that you can either select yes or no from. If you select yes, you will then be asked to confirm the hours and the term time weeks of the post to be terminated. This will assist us to make sure that this leaver form is allocated to the correct record. So for example, you would just enter 18.50/43.89. But in this example, we're going to say, no, there's no other pensionable employments, and you can just delete that information. You will then be asked, did the pensionable employment start on or after the 1st of April 2014? And this will determine the remaining fields that you will need to enter. So if we were to select yes, the request for final pay information is no longer visible. This is because the member only holds potentially care benefits, and we would only need you to confirm the full-time equivalent pay of the post, the date of termination, and the reason for termination. So if we turn this back to no, you'll see the final pay period box now reappears, and you can enter the date of termination. So using the Mrs. Smith example, we're going to enter the 14th of July 2021. And then select the reason for termination. It's important you select the correct reason. This helps us determine what level of benefits is payable and whether the member is entitled to receive payment of their pension benefits. But for this example, we're just going to select resignation. You'll then be asked, is the final pay period a previous corresponding year? For any leaver, we would automatically look at the best of the last 3 years. So this may mean a corresponding final year may provide a higher pay. So if you would select yes. Then it will ask you to confirm which previous corresponding year you're using. But for this instance, we're going to say no. And you'll see all the relevant fields have been turned green, and the message underneath can say all mandatory fields completed. Please move on to the calculation sheet. So again, the boxes highlighted in red are the fields you need to complete. The one at the top is asking the question, is there any pensionable pay due or to be paid after the date of leaving? If you select no, then there's no further entries to be made. But if you select yes, it will ask you to confirm the month that any pensionable pay is due to be paid after the date of leaving. So in this example, they're leaving on the 14th of July, so we would enter August 21. There is a restriction on how you enter this, so it's just the first three letters and the year. So you can just type in AUG 21, and then it will ask you for the amount. And in here, we can just enter £750 as an example. We can now begin to enter the final pay information for the final pay period. So using the example Mrs. Smith, you would put the latest date at the top. So the end date would be the date of leaving. This is the 14th of July 2021. And the start date would be the first date any contractual change happens. So this is the 1st of April 2021, where she received a pay increase. And the monthly basic salary is £1,350. Prior to this, Mrs. Smith was on £1,275 basic monthly pay, and this was for the period the 1st of January 2021 to the 31st of March 2021, which is the day before the line above. So we would enter the next date, which is the 31st of December 2020 to the 15th of July 2020. And Mrs. Smith was on a basic monthly salary of £1,000. Now we can enter the contractual hours and term time weeks. So for the period 1st of April to the 14th of July, Mrs. Smith was working full time, so we can just enter 37 if that's the full time hours. And again, confirm what the full time equivalent hours are. This person, Mrs. Smith, wasn't working term time, so we can just enter the full time term time weeks in the contractual weeks, so 52.143 as an example, and again in the full time equivalent weeks. If the hours haven't changed at any period, what you can do is select the whole row where the hours are, and then hover your mouse over the bottom right hand corner to get the black cross, and then just click and drag that down to the remaining lines where the hours match. From 15th of July 20 to 31st of December 20, Mrs. Smith was on part-time hours, so we went to 32.50 under contractual weekly hours, 37 as the full-time hours, and again, she wasn't working term time, so we just enter 52.143 in both of these fields. We've now got the full final pay period covered, and you'll see there on the right that it's showing that this person was working 32.5 hours. You can now click on either the Lancashire County Fund Calculate Final Pay button if your employer falls under this scheme, or Cumbria County Fund Calculate Final Pay. In this example, it's Lancashire, so if we click on that, you'll then be prompted to ask, have you entered all the required information? So click yes. You'll now see that the final pay has been calculated. A pop-up will appear to show final pay has been calculated and prompting you to input any pensionable extras if applicable. Just click on OK. You can now see that the final pay has been calculated. This column shows you the pay in the period, so what was actually paid during each period. And then under the full-time equivalent pay, this is scaled up to the full-time equivalent. So there's no need for manual scaling up or manual calculations. The spreadsheet does it all for you. What you can now do is go on to the extras tab. So the extras tab is split into 3 sections. There's scaled up extras, which is if the member's part-time and if they were working full-time, they would have been paid more. Then you would put any extras up in scaled up extras. Non-scaled up extras. This is where if the member was part-time and full-time, the extras are paid the same. So you just enter those extras in non-scaled up extras. And then finally, you have ad hoc extras. So this is any ad hoc extras that are being paid that don't fall into the scaled up extras or non-scaled up extras. So what we can do is type in sleeps in here, for example. And then enter any amounts that have been received in the relevant months. So for example, June, if we say £100, January £75, and October £150, you'll then see it totals up at the bottom of each column all the extras that have been added in, and also the total of all extras entered towards the left. So for example, if you added any extras in, say £25, it will automatically update the totals for you. If we then look at the non-scaled up extras, so for example, first aid, and we say the amount is £25. If the amount is the same throughout every month, again, you can just click the cell, hover over the right-hand corner of the cell, and then just click and drag the amount across the remaining months. You will then see that, for example, in July, because this was a part way through a month, the spreadsheet is automatically prorating the amount for the number of days worked. If we then looked at scaled up extras, so for example, if we enter weekend and enter £100 for the period she was working full-time and drag that across to January where she was working full-time, we can then enter, say, £75 as an example because that's what she was receiving as being part-time, and then we can drag that across for the remaining months as well. You'll see there's a multiplier under the months where she's part-time, and this will automatically scale up that amount to what the full-time equivalent is below the rows. And it will also prorata for any month that she's only worked part of the way through. Once you've finished entering all the extras, this will now update the calculation sheet. So you'll see there's the total scaled up extras listed, the non-scaled up extras, and the total of the ad hoc extras, which now shows you a final pay of £16,638.76. Now all you would need to do is go to the Leaver Form tab. This gives you an overview of the information you've entered on the previous tabs. So the full-time equivalent final salary, the total final pay for calculating pension benefits for pre-April 2014, and confirming whether there's any pensionable pay due to be paid after the date of leaving. All you would need to do is make sure you've ticked the declaration form to ensure that the information that's been provided represents accurate and complete information. You would then just need to enter your details on this form. So enter in your name, email address, contact telephone number in case of any queries, and then today's date. We do recommend that you save a copy for your records so that if any queries were raised and any amendments are made, you have the form there to be able to just update accordingly, and you wouldn't need to start from scratch. I'm just going to talk over some of the limitations for the pensionable pay calculator. If you have any variable employees with final salary benefits, you can't use the pensionable pay calculator. You need to use the variable schedule, which is available from the forms to download section where you've got the pensionable pay calculator from. And you can access the variable pay spreadsheet here. 3 and 13 protected members, there is another spreadsheet for you to access. This is for anyone in the last 13 years who has had a reduction in pay. So if it was due to a restructure and they've had reduced pay as a result of that, the member can come back to us and say, actually, I believe I had a final pay in the last 13 years. This is not something we would automatically look at when calculating final pay. We would only look at the best of the last 3 years. It would be down to the member to contact us to stipulate this, and then we would come back to yourselves to ask for the information. You would then just access the 3 and 13 spreadsheet to fill in, and what it does is that will work out the best 3-year average in that 13 years. And then what there is, we will use to calculate the member benefits. For any fortnightly or weekly paid employees, the spreadsheet isn't able to process those, and so you would need to use the online leaver form, and that's available in the employers area. You would just need to click on the online forms and access the leaver form. So it's just to make you aware of some of the limitations in regards to the pensionable pay calculator. I just want to take this opportunity to just summarize the key takeaways from this session. It is important that we get accurate information in order to ensure that we are calculating the members' benefits correctly and efficiently. Clarifying information will inevitably result in delays. So as stated, LPPA does carry out cursory checks to make sure the information submitted on a leaver form ties in with what is recorded on a member's record. This is the last opportunity to make sure everything is correct and we're paying the correct benefit entitlement. Authorised signatory. This means that the tick box declaration needs to be ticked and all the contact details completed in full. This allows us to ensure the person completing the form is authorised to do so, and this is an audit requirement. The completion of these details is also a declaration to advise that the information you're providing is accurate. We suggest that you save a copy for your records, and that way if anyone comes back to query it or advise that something doesn't look right, then you've got it there. You're not starting from scratch, and you can send it to us electronically via the employer contact us form available on our website. If you do need any further assistance, please contact the engagement team mailbox, or alternatively, you can complete the employer contact us form. If you do need to speak to anyone, we can arrange calls with anyone to go through any particular examples. And if so, you can just get in touch with engagement@localpensionspartnership.org.uk. If you're having any trouble with some specific scenarios or you need any further guidance, then drop us a message and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. There are also the employer guides. So you've got the LGPS pensionable pay and final pay guide available to you. There is the pensionable pay calculator user guide as well, which includes step-by-step processes accompanied with screenshots that you can follow through with examples, in which will really help you fill it out as you go along. But again, like I say, if there's any issues, then please just let us know. We have now reached the end of the presentation. As I've mentioned, you will find lots more of information is available on our website at www.lppapensions.co.uk. Should you have any questions, I will be happy to answer those for you if you send them through via the contact us form, which can be accessed via lppapensions.co.uk/contact-lppa, and either myself or a member of the team will get back to you. Thank you for today's session. I hope that has provided further clarification on the pensionable pay calculator, some useful tips for you to use and also giving you more confidence in completing the leaver form and dealing with levers in the LGPS. Thank you very much.